Hi everyone, it's Mama Gong. I'm here with a forest food plants video, and I want to say hi to the lovely women that I met today in Roberts Creek. And we had a really cool forest food plant experience in Roberts Creek. Right across from the Gumboot Cafe there are some very tall Oregon grape root. Now, the Oregon grape root plant is really easy to identify. It has shiny, dark green, sort of leathery leaves, and they have prickles on them. It looks the leaves kind of look like I'm thinking of that holy tree with the red berries that around Christmas time. One of you will think about it and you'll know what I'm talking about. So the Oregon grapefruit is an amazing forest food plant. Okay, why? I'll tell you why. Because again, just like in the previous video I made about the alder, it has many uses and many uses for the different parts of the plant. So let's start with the root, even though when we get to the berries, that is the best part. I think, unless it's the flowers. Okay, let's just get there. So the root. The root is, you can dry it, powder it, and then add it to some oil, and it's going to help eczema, psoriasis, very extreme skin conditions. The berry itself, which is out now, is an oval, dark purple berry with a sort of a powdery coating. And a lot of people look at it, and in Roberts Creek they're growing very tall. They're like bushes. Whereas if you found them wild in the forest, and if you did, it would be in a low place near water. And this Oregon grape does grow around, grows on Mount Elphinstone and grows around Peace Camp. And I learned again about this plant from the Nahalcom people in Bella Coola when I was there. I learned about the flowers because they call it Indian popcorn. We're going to get to that. Yes, I do find this very exciting. Okay, so the berries. Well, what about them? I'll tell you what about them. They taste like grapes. And they're basically grapes. And they're so delicious, it's pretty much ridiculous. They also has a very high pectin content. So if you want to make some jelly or some jam, it's going to be really easy. Yummy. And I'm going to mention salal berries now because they're even higher in pectin. And if you take a few salal berries and you throw them into whatever jam or jelly you're making, it will thicken it and will be a natural way for you to do that. Now the salal berries, and we're just going to skip. I know how exciting the Oregon grapefruit is, but the salal berries are pretty exciting too. Why? Because they're all over the forest floor, and these berries are almost a year-round thing. And again, people don't know you can eat them. They're really dark berries. They can be a little bit mealy. With the salal berries, it's about knowing the terrain and what bushes are good and what one aren't, and you get to know that. But you know, this is I have wondered whether or not Sasquatch feeds a lot on the salal berries and the leaves, which stay green all year long. So when you go to the forest, you're going to notice the salal all over the ground, and it's got a very tough, dark green, leathery kind of a leaf. But let's get back to the Oregon grapefruit. The Oregon grapefruit, when you come across it in the forest, will be growing up in these like sprigs, sort of directly from the forest, and there'll be these the leaves with the pricks on them that are very leathery, very easy to identify, and then the berries in the center. But before the berries are these bright yellow flowers, and you can eat the flowers. And when you put them in your mouth, they sort of pop. They have like a center with air in it. So there you go. That's two berries. Now, that we're on the topic of berries, let's just keep going. Why don't we? Because I'm right now staying at Peace Camp 7.0 and I'm eating huckleberries. Oh my, there's a couple of huckleberry bushes up there that are practically like trees. I am also eating salmon berries. Now, I don't know if you know about salmon berries. And of course, you've got your computer. Just look these up and you'll be able to see pictures and, so that you can identify them. Because although you really should have someone with you to identify most forest plants, it is not really a good idea to just go on book identification because plants look different at different times of the year. And plants look different when they're growing in different places. Not to mention, plants will hybridize. Now, the good thing about BC is over 98% of plants in BC are non-poisonous, okay? And the poisonous ones that we do have, a couple of them, that would be deadly would be the deadly camas, the death camas. And, you can look these up, poisonous plants of BC and learn to identify those pretty well. And after that, it's just what tastes good and what doesn't. So the salmon berries are amazing. Why? Because they're like all different colors. They're from deep ruby red to this beautiful peachy kind of orange to yellow. And some people think, well, only the red ones are ripe or something. No. Who knows why God, Goddess, Creator decided to do that, but they did. Now let's just talk about that for a minute. Hey, does that matter? Yes, it does. I was reading this amazing book, which I found in a free box of books. It's called Return of the Bird Tribes. And in that book, White Buffalo Calf Woman's story is told, believe it or not. And she speaks at some point, then she leaves her teachings and then Hiawatha goes on and becomes the great peacemaker and the great law of peace comes out, with all the Mohawk tribes, with those 5 or 6 tribes. And the white pine, okay, is the long needled pine, is the peace tree, okay? And it's very interesting, okay, because in this prophecy, White Buffalo Calf Woman says, Hiawatha, I should say, says, the peace tree has white roots that will go, they did a big ceremony around this big white pine. And they said the white roots will go out all across the earth, but they said at some point the tree of peace will die. And then it will come back here and there, all over the world. So, the white pine, it just so happens, a disease was brought from Europe on another kind of pine, and it infected the white pine here in North America and almost wiped it out. Well, there are 2 of these little white pine trees growing at Peace Camp 7.0. And I just want you to think about the great law of peace. And I want you to know that in the forest, this great law of peace exists until the loggers come, So please take some time to contemplate the importance of peace and protecting the forest and loving it, because it really is the grocery store. And I know that, and I'm going to continue to make these videos so you can know that too. All right. Who knows what plant we're going to talk about next time. Namaste. Now I'm going to go back to the forest.